Hi, this is Joe again with another review, but I haven't done a video in a couple of weeks. I just recovered from the flu, and so my voice is still a little, raw from it. So I took time off to see if I could recover a little bit more. What this particular video I'm doing is, well, a friend of mine actually challenged me to do a video for the 2014 baseball season, which just started yesterday. The day before I'm doing this video. So I figured, okay, since obviously I'm a big baseball fan, as you can see from behind me here. So I'm going to do a video for the baseball season. And after one game, there was no way in hell that the New York Mets are going to win 90 games this year. And the reason why I said 90 games is because the general manager, Sandy Alderson, made a prediction that the Mets this year, the 2014 Mets, will win 90 games. No way. Because the best pitcher, Matt Harvey, is going to be out for at least, at the very least, September, if not the entire season, because he had Tommy John surgery. So he's going to be out for just about the entire year. He might pitch in September, maybe, if that. Depending on how fast he heals, and if because the doctor's okay, he might pitch in September. But after the opening day disaster, which they had 2 leads in the game, had a 3-0 lead and a 4-3 lead, blew that, and then they had another lead. They had a 5-4 lead going into the 9th inning, and they blew that lead. So they said there's no way in hell the Mets are going to win 90 games. The only way that the Mets will win 90 games this year is if the other team doesn't show up. But that's the Mets. But with the Yankees, God willing, then the Yankees will die. They can die fast enough to satisfy me. Because I don't think that the Yankees are particularly good. If they win, excuse me. Like I said, I'm still still a little round in the weather here. If they win, everything maybe they win by between 85 and 90 games, maybe. If they win 90 games, it's going to be by dumb luck more than anything else. When they start the season with the right team, you get into a big winning streak at the start of the season, and that's the Astros. If the Yankees lose even one game to the Houston Astros, a team who in 2013 lost 111 games, they should be ashamed of themselves. Seriously, they should be ashamed of themselves. But the teams that I think that will, win, will probably be getting to the World Series. That's with the Red Sox or the Tigers. The National League, who knows? I think it's more wide open more than anything else. I don't think the Braves are going to do well. You just about forget about the Braves winning. If there are any Braves fans that's watching this thing, you can forget about the Braves winning anything. Because the Braves have the reputation of, and last year was a perfect example of cruising. Well, they haven't won the division in a few years, when they finally won the division last year. After I think like 7 years, they won the division last year. But they have always had a habit of cruising to the division, at least cruising into the playoffs, and losing in the playoffs. That's why the Braves never draw anybody and turn the field. Since I think, except for the first year in 1987, because that was the stadium that was built for the Olympics, the 1986 Olympics, and then after the Olympics was over, the Braves moved in. Next year, it was reconfigured for a baseball stadium, and the Braves moved in there. But since the Braves moved into Turner Field, they only played in one World Series, and that was in 1999. And we all know how they got in that year, because what they call Kenny fucking Rogers, walked the ballpark and blew the pennant for the Mets because everybody remembers the Red Sox when they came back and beat the Yankees in 2004, coming back from 3 games to none deficit and win 4 in a row and went to the World Series. Well, the Mets were this close to do that before the Mets, 5 years before the Red Sox in '99, because the Braves won the first 3 games, and then the Mets won the next 2. One of course, in Game 5 was one of the famous Robert Ventura grand slam single, and then, of course, in Game 6 they blew it because Kenny Rogers walked the ballpark. So, and the Braves, like the quarter line from Rocky 2, the Braves won, but they didn't beat the Mets. The Mets beat themselves. I mean, the Mets gave them the pen on a silver platter. And of course, appropriately enough, they didn't win the one World Series game because they got swept. They got swept by the stupid Yankees. So how can anybody predict the Braves will win the World Series, or even at least? I think they might do well to get into the playoffs at least. I don't think they're not going to win a damn thing. Sorry, Braves fans, they're not going to win anything. The team that I would like to see you win is maybe the Dodgers. But I heard that the best pitcher, Kershaw, is on going to the DL. But naturally, of course, I would like to see teams that haven't won for so long to be in the playoffs and to win the World Series, or possibly have a chance to win the World Series. Because like the Cubs, for example, the Cubs were never, ever going to get into the World Series. The only way the Cubs would get into the World Series if they let 35,000 Billy Goats into Wrigley Field for one game. Then they probably would break that curse. For those of you who don't know the curse that the Cubs have, there was this boar in Chicago. I don't know if it still exists today, but in 1945 there was a boar called the Billy Goat Boar, and actually, of course, they had to go for a mascot. The owner bought the goat to Wrigley Field, for the World Series, and for a World Series game, and they wanted to let him into the stadium with the goat. So he said the Cubs would never ever win a World Series until they let the goat into the stadium. And sure enough, they lost the 1945 World Series, and the Cubs have never been into another World Series since then. And of course, they haven't won since 1908. So they've won, I think, the longest without even being in the World Series. For the teams that are in existence today, they've done the longest without being in the World Series of any team. Of course, the team that's gone the second longest is Cleveland. They're the second longest streak. Now, since the Red Sox won, since the White Sox won the very next year, 2005. Then you have, of course, the Giants won twice. I think in 2010 and 2010. I think 2012 they won. So now you have, the Red Sox won 3 times in 10 years, which drives the Yankee fans nuts. Because they won 3 times in 10 years, and the Yankees only won once. Couldn't happen to a better franchise than the Yankees. Excuse me. I don't know which team is that has it. It's the third longest streak without winning a World Series. But of course, teams that only played in one World Series and never won, like Tampa Bay or Texas went to the World Series back-to-back years and lost. They had, of course, Seattle never went to the World Series. So you had, I think Seattle's the only major league team that never played in the World Series. Even the year they won 116 games, In 2001, they didn't win the World Series because they got beat by the Yankees in the playoffs. So you have all that stuff going on. But I think that hopefully it will be a good baseball season. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope that in the World Series you have a great matchup. And of course this year, the Mets, the Twins will host the All-Star game. And of course you see behind me the last year that I was going to say over here, the Mets finally hosted an All-Star game after 49 years. And this year's Minnesota, which is the first time I think, of the American League teams, they have gone the longest without hosting an All-Star game. Once the team that's gone the longest without hosting is the Dodgers. They haven't hosted an All-Star game since 1980. So they're a little overdue. And of course, the teams that haven't hosted an All-Star game are the two Florida teams. The Marlins, even though they have a brand new stadium, I think this is like the second or third year of their new stadium. I think this is the third year for the new stadium. They never hosted an All-Star game in Tampa Bay. The reason why Tampa Bay is not hosting an All-Star game because their stadium they play in is a dump. It's a dumpy stadium. It's crap. So that's why they're going to put an All-Star game in a crappy stadium. That's why Shea Stadium went so long without hosting it, because everybody felt it was a crap, lousy stadium. They felt the fans were lousy. They felt the Met fans were lousy. They felt that the stadium was lousy. They felt the locker rooms were no good. The bathrooms were no good. The plumbing was no good. The area is no good. So that's why they waited 49 years. That's why Shea Stadium only hosted the one All-Star game in '64. But next, of course, I hope it doesn't snow in Minnesota like it did last year when the Mets played in Minnesota in April. It snowed for 3 days. And then the Mets go to Colorado on the same road trip and it snowed there too. I don't think there should be any home games for Minnesota and Colorado in April. That's because of the weather conditions. So that's my little preview of well, like I said, I still wish that I have not as many teams in the playoffs. They were kind of old-fashioned. I like to have two playoff teams, one playoff series, and then the World Series after that. Because since you have this extra now, you have teams who do not deserve to be even in the playoffs winning, and they have teams that have records that don't deserve it, like in 2006 when the Cardinals ended the curse of Keith Hernandez, and they beat the Mets. Of course, they beat the Mets in the playoffs and went to the World Series and won. They had maybe the 12th best record in baseball, and they won. Of all major league teams, they're like the 12th best record. That's what happens. You have teams that have lousy records that either are barely 500 or don't even have the second best record in their league winning. Unlike in the case of the Marlins in '97 when they won the World Series as a wildcard team, and they were the first wildcard team to win the World Series, they had, I think, the second best record in the league. So even though they didn't finish first because the Braves did that year, but they still had the second best record in the league. So and they beat the Braves in the playoffs and they won the World Series. So that time we didn't complain too much of the Marlins, but what happened was they sold the whole team. They broke the whole team up almost overnight. As soon as the World Series was over, they sold the whole team. Almost like the way the Mets did when they won it in '86. Within 3 years, all the major pieces that helped to win the World Series for the Mets were all gone by '89. And by the end of the '89 season, they're all gone already. All the major players. So, but in terms of this season, course, actually, I like to see the Mets, win. But I know my heart of hearts, and if they win 60 games this year, they're lucky. Especially after the first game, because the Mets had the best record in opening day of all three major league teams. They have the best winning percentage, and to lose the way they did in the first game, it's the Mets will be lucky to win 60 games. And I'm being optimistic here. They're not going to win 60 games. God willing, the Yankees lose more games than the Mets. But I know that's not the case because the Yankees, unlike the Mets, the Yankees are willing to spend money. And they're willing to have an all-star player at all 9 positions. And that's why people hate the Yankees and hate George Steinbrenner when he was alive. And now his son's running the team. That's why most baseball fans who are not Yankee fans hate the Yankees. Because they buy every all-star player to play in every single position. And if they don't work out, or if they don't win the World Series, Yankee fans consider that a failure. Or if they don't even make the playoffs, like they did last year, the Yankee fans consider that a failure. Me, I don't consider that a failure because, as a Mets fan, because you expect the Mets not to win, not to make the playoffs. But you do hope that they have a good enough year that maybe, by dumb luck, we'll make the playoffs and get into the World Series. But I know that this team, excuse me, there's never going to be another another Met team be as good as the '86 Mets. No way. That's my opinion. There's no way that there's never going to be another Met team like that team, or any other team in Major League history. Because the funny thing is, even though the Braves won the division like 15 years in a row, and I think they won like 16 times in 23 years or 24 years. They won like 16 times. I think the best record they had during that run from 91 to 2005 was they won, I think, maybe 105 or 106 games, something like that. So that was the closest they ever got to the Mets 86 Mets regular season record of 108 wins and 54 losses. So to say, for people to say to me that the Braves are so good, they won these divisions as well, especially this year with the Hall of Famers, and we're getting that. This year is Braves Day in Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame. They have Bobby Cox, Joe Torre, who played for the Braves and managed them. You have, I think, Glavine and Max going into the Hall of Fame this year, along with Tony La Russa. And that's a effing disgrace. Along with Tony La Russa, it's a disgrace that all these guys will want to be in there. I don't have anything against Joe Torre personally. But the rest of the guys is a disgrace that all those other guys are going in the Hall of Fame. Particularly more Tony La Russa than Bobby Cox. Because Tony La Russa helped to cover up the steroid scandal in Major League Baseball, even more than Bud Selig. Because two of the biggest steroid guys played for him. That's Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire. And La Russa helped cover up McGwire. He was running for the 100 miles home run record in 1988. Especially when a reporter found Andro in his locker, and he helped cover it up. He wanted to keep the reporter out of the Cardinals' locker room and all that other stuff. So he covered up McGwire for years, practically his entire career. And of course with Bobby Cox, with this whole guy, because he won all these, he was one of the winningest managers. Well, if you had Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, and Steve Avery, Any idiot could manage that team. Anybody. I could manage that team. I never managed a baseball team in my life. I could manage that team. Right? So, and also he is an idiot. Robert Cox. Because anybody remembers the 92 World Series, and that Jeff Freeland standing in the bullpen while his team was blowing the World Series in 1992 to the Blue Jays. That's one. And two, of course, in the playoffs in 1992, with the Deion Sanders incident. If those of you who forgot, you can see this clip on YouTube. The Deion Sanders and Tim McCarver. So that's my review for the baseball season. Please like the video or click on, and please watch my other videos. Catch you later.